it's very important to engage, communicate, and work with your sales team. Sales and marketing is going to be even closer than ever before. So if you're coming from that perspective, I'm here to help. That's the time you can step in and say, hey, well, maybe this is something we can do together.
Marketing, like a symphony, is a harmonious blend of instruments, but without the proper direction, it's just noise. Welcome to the Supply Chain Marketing Show, presented by Supply Chain Brain Media. From the art of storytelling to the science of data, we'll uncover marketing strategies that drive success. The love-hate relationship between sales and marketing is today's subject. Marketing expert, consultant, author Pam Didner offers best practices you can use with your sales team. Now, here's your host and supply chain marketing guide, Ralph Henderson.
Mars and Venus. No, I'm not talking about men and women. I'm talking about marketing and sales. Hi, I'm Ralph Henderson, and I am your host for the Supply Chain Marketing Show, brought to you by Supply Chain Brain Media. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to our hearts as professional marketing people, and that is our relationship with sales, our relationship with the team, with the people, with the mission, with the direction. And we want to make that better and stronger so that we can be more effective going forward. And I know you're excited about that and you're going to get a lot of value out of that. And to help us do that, we have brought in what I think is one of, if not the best people to help us, and that is Pam Didner. Pam is a B2B marketing consultant, speaker, author, podcaster. I've worked with Ann a couple of times on a couple of different projects. She is on a mission to help her clients succeed. Now, look, she's got all kinds of credentials. She's got experience as a chief marketing officer. She has a ton of knowledge in covering strategic planning, which I know is one of the reasons she can talk about sales and marketing. She's written business books. She's written 5 business books. And you definitely want to get information on Pam, and we're going to give you that in the not too distant future on this podcast. And with all of that being said, welcome, Pam.
Thank you so much for having me, Ralph.
It is our pleasure, believe me. Pam, you have such a neat background and such a neat experience in what it is we're talking about today. So I'm going to start with a philosophical question.
Sure.
And that is, why do marketers have a hard time working with sales?
Well, yeah, I would say different reasons. One is how we approach, say, the prospecting, and also at the same time that the mindset between sales and marketing people are very, very different. And salespeople are hunters, as you know, right? And they will reach out to the prospects. And if the prospect doesn't have a budget or is not at the right stage, they move on. But what does marketing people always do? They was like, we need to nurture them. So one's taking the short term, kind of like, you know what? It's not a big fit at this time. I need to hunt another prospect. But marketing is really about what can we do? How can we turn it around? So that's a different mindset. And then the other thing is marketing tend to focus on the top of the funnel, and the salespeople tend to focus on the middle and the bottom of the funnels. And salespeople tend to focus on accounts. These are the accounts I have to deal with. And the marketing people was like, these are the set of customers I need to talk to. So they more focus on the buyer's personas and or a set of customers. And another thing that is kind of important is also depending on the sales model or the business model of a company. Like in many companies, especially manufacturing companies, some of them actually don't sell directly to the end users. For example, they have channel partners or they have distributors that they work very closely with. But the marketing focus on the end user who use the product, but the salespeople really focus on, okay, how do I enable the channel partners, enable the distributors? So all of a sudden, they are focusing on two different segments of people. And that also caused a little bit of friction. So there are many reasons behind it. My recommendation to all the marketers is try to understand why there is a friction between sales and marketing, and to get down to the bottom of it and then start from there.
Nice. Wow. Very well said. And I think that's good for all of us to know. And it is a two-way street.
Right.
Having been in the industry since 1991 and having been through a lot of these different positions, I will say, there definitely is an argument for how sales views the world and how marketing views the world. But I think what you're talking about is how we work in concert with one another. I mean, I think the easy explanation is sales is transactional, marketing is relational, even though I'm not saying that no one in sales understands that relations are important. And we get that. We understand that.
Yeah.
But there is, we just recently had a very, very large trade show in the material handling industry. And that's a really easy place to see what you were just talking about on how marketing prepares and executes that show versus how sales does. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about that with this question. And that is, so what is maybe the number one or two tips that you can give to marketing people to know how they can support sales?
Number one things, in addition to understand their mindset, which is, I think, is very important, you need to understand how salespeople think, especially your sales team, right? And the other important things, the key is keep that communication going. You need to talk to your salespeople. It's kind of like relationship building with your spouse and with your children, right? On a daily basis, you are having conversation with your spouse, with your children, even though you are fighting with them. That's still a form of a communication. And you have to keep that in mind on the sales side. You have to keep talking to them. I think the communication part is very critical, and marketers tend to overlook that because marketing people are so busy, right? And I was talking to several manufacturing marketers. They have to do 36 to 50 events a year, right? Small events, big events. And they finish one event, they have to move on to another one. And by the way, a lot of those events are requested actually by salespeople, which is wonderful. That means they are talking, but you have to keep that communication going. While you are working on the events, you also have to brief salespeople in terms of what they need to do on site. You also need to do a follow-up after the events with them, vetting the prospects, vetting the leads. So that communication is super, super important. If you are talking to your spouse on a daily basis, my recommendation is very important. You need to actually check in with your salespeople on a regular basis. What about, once or twice a month? Sometimes it has to be a whole lot more frequent than that.
No, I like that a lot. And that's really good advice, and I liked how you said it. It's like, we all understand the relationship communication with the prospects and the clients and what have you, but we also have the same relationship opportunity inside with the sales and marketing. And I also liked, Pam, how you addressed the fact that it's okay if you don't agree 100% of the time.
Totally.
Obviously there's going to be, those areas of how people think about it, which brings me to my next question. And that is, sadly, having, again, been around for a little while and just getting real here for a second,
Sure.
there are times where salespeople are just like, I don't need your help, or I don't want your help, or you guys just do whatever it is you do and we'll do what we do. So what would be your suggestion to our audience about, how can you change that?
I actually have a two-pronged answer. I have two-pronged answers for that. Number one is, if your sales team are consistently meeting the quota, they hit home runs month after month, quarters after quarter, and they say, we don't need your help, then don't rock the boat. Why rock the boat? They don't need help. Okay. They are hitting the target and everybody's happy. You do what you need to do. You focus on the brain awareness or you focus on whatever you have to do. Great. Don't rock the boat. Okay. But if their performance is inconsistent, sometimes they hit the target, sometimes they don't. And or they've been struggling meeting the target consecutively, right? That's the time you can step in and say, hey, well, maybe this is something we can do together. I'm here to help. I'm here only to help. I'm not here to jeopardize you. So if you're coming from that perspective, I'm here to help. I think that's a good starting point to carry that conversation with them. And plus, they are not hitting the target anyway. So you know what? They need to try something new.
That is great.
So, but I have a customer or asked me once and basically said, hey, my sales team are hitting the target on a regular basis, but I still want to help them and to show that, I provide value to a sales team. What can I do? Well, in that specific situation, you have to look at the sales team and break them down. They are top performers and they also have the low performers. So the top performers lead them along because they are doing it well and whatever they are doing is working. So that it be. Then what you can do is what can you help the low performers? What can you do to actually bring their performance up? So that's another way to provide value add.
Wow. And that's such a great way to look at it because, look, I'm just as guilty having been in this space as everyone else. And that is we look at things almost with a black and white lens. It's like we either need to do it really, really this much or we need to do it really, really this much. And I like what you're talking about. It's like, wait a second. Well, maybe what we do is we create a strategy on looking at, where are sales performing and where aren't they? And then what can we do based on that? And the other thing I loved about what you were saying is, and then it's a helping thing. It's a supporting.
It's a helping. It's a support.
Yeah. You're not telling them what to do. You're not telling them. You're asking them, and I'm just going to put it in their parlance, and that is, how can I help you make more money?
Exactly.
Right? Basically, that's what you're saying is, how can I drive more people to you so you can make more sales? And that's a great segue to our next question.
We'll be back after this brief message.
In today's complex supply chain, marketing has never been more critical. But are you leveraging the full potential of your marketing efforts? Supply Chain Brain Media created 2 resources to help you discover what's new and what works. The Supply Chain Marketing Group series is designed to educate you on services and how to implement them into your marketing program. On the Supply Chain Marketing Show, hear firsthand how experts are implementing the elements from the 5 rings of supply chain marketing to drive results. Ready to elevate your marketing game? Schedule a 30-minute consult today. Email Morgan at supplychainbrainmedia.com. Supply Chain Brain Media, your guide to marketing success.
And now back to our show.
What are some of the tools we can use in marketing that maybe can help this relationship between marketing and sales, in your opinion?
There are many ways to go about it, and it really depends on the company. So I just want to provide a couple suggestions for all of the listeners or the viewers out there. And in the digital world, like the world that we are in right now, and we are using a lot of technologies or platforms to help us do our job. And one way is it possible that to actually have a sales and marketing collaboration tool? And this is kind of beyond the project management tools, if you will. And it just basically documents the needs from the sales team, and then the marketing team can actually address it. So there are tools out there like that. And one example, and this is the enterprise version of it, is Engagio, and maybe one of the tools that you can use. And the other one is leverage the tools that the salespeople are using. So obviously there's a list of tools that salespeople do use. One of them is a CIM. And I actually did talk to several manufacturing companies. They was like, we don't even have CIM. I was like, okay, that's not good. You need to have one. I don't know how you track your customer database, but somehow it's tracked because you guys are doing pretty well. So if there is a tool that salespeople are using to track their performance, to track their quota, to track their account status, to track their opportunities, pipelines, you somehow need to get familiar with that. Right. So you go where tools are, what tools they are using, and try to get yourself proficient on those tools. So you can also find nugget and data within the tool that they use. And then you can identify the gap. Maybe there are things that marketing can help to accelerate the sales velocities or the sales conversion rate. And understanding the tools they use can also help you.
Nice. And, and one of the reasons I absolutely love you is your sincerity when somebody says we don't have a CRM and you're like, oh,
I know.
You're like, oh yeah, that's not good.
That's not good. But it's not necessarily that bad either. I mean, in the grand scale of things, it's just like somehow they did not have that tool and they managed to survive in the past 3 decades and thrive. So you cannot really fault them not having it. Right. The only thing you can say is like, you really want to go, for next 10 years without that? I don't know. That may not work.
Right. No, I love that. Now, look, we're not allowed to have an interview today and talk about marketing and tools and especially since over your left shoulder, you have those famous 2 letters AI. So,
right there.
So how, maybe briefly does AI work in all of this, in your opinion?
Yeah, it actually does. On November 30th, 2022, OpenAI actually launched a tool called ChatGPT. And that kind of blew the whole industry away in terms of people can just basically ask a specific question. You write it like a prompt, and then AI would just give you a very specific and tailored answer. And everybody was like, oh my God, this is better than Google search. To some extent, it is. And but from that, which is November 30th, 2022 until now, the AI has evolved so much. And there's a lot of commercial applications have been built on top of the trained large language model. Because if a mod, it's kind of like a brain has been trained, then you just put the front interface in front of it, and there's a different commercial application that can be created. So there are a lot of AI claim tools out there, and basically, there are AI tools can help you cut your video into different shorts, or they may be AI tools that can be voice of God, like you really just write a script instead of hiring like me or you be the voice of God during the event. It can be an AI voice. And they also have like a sales enabled type of tools. For example, an AI agent can be created, and then you can practice role play as a salesperson with the AI agent. So there's a lot of commercial applications that have been created.
Right.
Okay. And everybody, sales and marketing, both sides feel overwhelmed by all those applications. But the bottom line is back in 2007, Steve Jobs basically said there's an app for that. Well, now there's a bot for that, for almost everything. It's a similar situation. My recommendation to everybody is AI is here to stay. And there's a lot of commercial applications out there, but don't stress out, and just think through kind of like for the next 6 months or next, 2 or 3 years, and look at your plan, look at what you are doing, and try to think about it in terms of if there's anything can be taken care of by, say, an AI. Like maybe some of the writing can be done by AI, maybe some of the role play can be done by AI. So you kind of think it through and then determine where that will help you. It's going to be a trial and error for a little while, But that's basically technology, right? And you have to
No,
try
that's
and see
right.
what works for you.
That's right. And again, for all of you listening and watching, please know what Pam just said. Rewind this show 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and listen to that again like 4 or 5 times. Because what you heard is it's here to stay. Don't be overwhelmed.
Well, don't.
Start using it. And oh, by the way, it's not unlike any other tech we've been through. And look, guys, I'm not trying to say I'm as old as Methuselah here, but I remember when email came out,
I know.
okay? And I remember when everybody was all up in
The
arms about
internet.
that.
You remember Google came out.
Right.
Social media.
Right. So for those of you who are going through this, just know we're just in another tech cycle. We're in another, so think of it that way. What Pam was alluding to, and this is something I often tell people, the iPhone didn't come out until 2007. There are people watching this right now who think the iPhone's been out forever, and there are people watching this who think the iPhone came out yesterday. Regardless of who you are, it went through a cycle. So just please know that. So thank you. All right, Pam, I'm sad to say these things always go way faster than I want them to. So we're nearly out of time, but we do have some time for one final question. And I would love for you to maybe throw some meat on this. We've talked about, why is it important? Why is it hard? What are the tips? What are the tools? What is it you want somebody, walking away from this podcast remembering, and then B, what do you want them to do?
Okay. So the number one thing is it's very important to engage, communicate, and work with your sales team. And this is even more important in the future, especially in the AI stage, because sales and marketing is going to be even closer than ever before. So you cannot treat these two as two separate job functions anymore. They are almost like joint and hip. Okay. So try to understand your sales team, what their needs are, what their challenges as much as you can. It is not going to hurt you. It's not. Right. So understand the sales side. Okay. Then once you understand them, you need to do something about it. Right. So you need to identify what can you do to support them. It can be as simple as creating email templates, or it can be as a challenge as creating an AI agents for them. So whatever that is, you have to determine what are the things that you want to do to better support them in addition to events that you are doing. If you are doing events, that's fine. But if you've been doing that in the past 2 decades, that's a baseline. That's a given. You cannot continue to just stay in the baseline. So what are the additional things that you can do? And you need to identify that and then just do it.
Nice. Well, I appreciate that. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. And I know the audience got a lot of value out of that. If you want to reach out to Pam, we will put that in the promotion on how to contact her. Obviously, you can reach out via LinkedIn and social media and find Pam Didner. But with that, Pam, I just want to say thank you for your time and your valuable insight. Because look, as professional marketers, what we're supposed to be doing is knocking on doors. We're supposed to be helping our salespeople get through those doors. What we say at the Supply Chain Marketing Show, brought to you by supplychainbrainmedia.com, is instead of knocking on doors, how about they knock on yours? Mm-hmm. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. So thank you, Pam. Thank you, folks, for watching and viewing, and we'll see you in the next show.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
To discover how you can blend your marketing instruments into a harmonious sound and rise above the noise, schedule a 30-minute consultative session. Email morgan@supplychainbrainmedia.com. Again, that email address is morgan@supplychainbrainmedia.com. If you have any questions or episode suggestions, you can send those to morgan@supplychainbrainmedia.com. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Supply Chain Marketing Show presented by Supply Chain Brain Media. This is an omni-channel production in conjunction with PWE Media.